Hey there, my name is Glendon. Welcome to my 10,000 day Minecraft Forever World and part 2 of the World Tour. In part 1, I gave a walking tour of my Motte Bailey castle, which I call Homestead Keep. This is my main base built at spawn. We also toured my village trading hall, nether hub entrance, and graveyard. In part 2, we'll be touring a maze of tunnels and farms under my base, accessed through a series of minecart rails from my basement. A quick summary of the farms: we have the passive farms, the end farms, the trading hall, the nether portal, the copper farm, the manual farms, the smelting chamber, amethyst farms, the warden switch and frog farm, creeper lab, and the animal barn. The first tunnel we'll explore is what I call the auto farms. These are farms like kelp blocks, melons, and iron farm where I don't have to actively participate, I just have to be close by for them to run. So as you can see, all these tunnels have been decorated, and basically most of them have kind of like a mine shaft theme. So here I have this one big mine shaft. I do have a ladder where you can just go up and down without a cart. There's actually two minecart rails that spiral around here. The second one goes down to the bottom where goes to the end farms, which we'll check out next. But there's a main hub here that connects a bunch of different tunnels that lead off to various different farms. And the first one we're going to check out is actually up this ladder. And it is my copper aging area. So you can see this massive room full of oxidized copper. So basically I've just laid out manually. I don't think I've ever really harvested from here. I just keep laying it down layer upon layer. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to call myself a mad lad, but I dug this out without a beacon. A very early game. I don't know what I was thinking, but stockpile of copper for days, and it's kind of useless now with the trial chambers, but we have it. Alright, first farm. Again, one of the first farms I did create was my melon farm, so this does include both the pumpkins and the melons. One thing that you will notice with my farms is I like to decorate them with the blocks that I'm farming. So here we've taken the melon blocks and made it look like some sort of, I don't know, 18th century parlor or something with the paintings, using barrels as wainscoting. A fairly recent addition to this farm, though, is the basement. With the introduction of the crafter, we can now craft the melon slices back into melons. Where is that? Yeah, there's the crafter. And I've also now added a shulker loader to it as well. Next farm is a netherwort farm. But basically I have 4 patches of 9x9 netherwort. Got the hoe there to harvest it, and yeah. Next farm. Next is my wool farm. This I have decorated as an old barn, and we have, I believe it is 24 sheep. So most colors I just have one color, or one sheep of one color. But on this side I have white, the gray, the black, and the brown. I have 3 of each. And those are the ones that I trade to my shepherd villagers to get experience. Again, I've recently updated to 1.21.5, so the color on the sheep looks really weird to me right now. But yeah, as I was saying, I decorated this as an old barn. And I don't know if you've ever explored old barns, but you will find the weirdest stuff in them. So I've created this kind of hayloft, and again, the theme map here was just putting random stuff in here. So, I mean, a loom, some scaffolding, pistons, some mushrooms, the, what are those called again? Terracotta blocks? Beehives, skulk, some mine carts, and just some random barrels and chests. But down here is the storage system, and here's where I have decorated with the wool that I am farming. And I've come up with these different quilt patterns to decorate, which I love. This one's my favorite on the floor. But yeah, so here's all the wool. Last one on this side is the iron farm. I do have a custom texture for my iron block. But you can see the 3 villagers there with beds, and in the background we have a zombified villager scaring them. And we should see an iron golem come over this edge any moment. There we go. And we have a golem. So the golems fall down here, and basically we end them with the lava. Their bits get flushed down here, up here, over around here, and into the shulker loader. So on this side we have the iron blocks, and basically the poppies get bone mealed, and we make the bone blocks. This was another fairly recent addition with the crafter. Alright, let's move on to the next farm. Alright, this will be the first in a theme of farms where there's really no purpose to the farm. I built the farm because it sounded fun. And so we have the new armadillos, and we are collecting the scoots. Again, I don't need this many scoots. I think I have a couple shulker boxes already in my storage system up top. But the mob was new, and I thought it'd be fun to build it. And we decorated this one as if it was a Badlands. Alright. Next farm, we have a chicken farm. And specifically, I was after the feathers. I don't care so much for the chicken itself. My food of choice is golden carrots. But I do sell the raw chicken to my villagers. Alright. Next farm. Next is my potion brewer. So we have decorated this farm using netherwort. So of course netherwort is required for crafting the red nether bricks. And we also have the netherwort block here. And of course more red blocks. The actual auto brewer design, I believe, was Rexstone. That was a YouTube video that I watched. And I've just replicated a farm for every single potion. So there's like one for fire resistance, and I got the 8-minute versus the 3-minute one. I've just chosen the most useful variant of the potion for each level of potion, and I have one potion brewer for every single potion, including the 4 new ones. I recently had to extend this, so we have the infestation, oozing, weaving, and wind charging. I'll just quickly show you the back room. Oh, before I forget, I'm very proud of this ceiling. So this is actually fire coral, and I have a layer of water above it so that it stays red, and I have a layer of glass under it so there's not a constant dripping in this room here. So anyway, we have, and here's the back room of the potion brewer, and here's where I load the different ingredients for the auto brewers. And basically, yeah, 1 row for every single potion of the game. And it continues on the other side. And when I built this auto brewer, I maxed out the ingredients in every single one, so I should be stocked for a very long time. Alright, next farm. And next we have the honey farm. Oh, and we got the bees out. This is an Ian X04 honey farm design. And I have it built with 10 hives. You can actually extend it and have more if you want. So there's a timer in the back room there. You can turn it on. And I have the storage room down here. And again, on theme, I decorate my farms with the blocks they produce. So, and this farm can produce either the honeycomb or the honey blocks. All right, next farm. All right, next farm is this water puddle, which is my infinite water source. Next farm. All right, here's another one of those farms where I didn't really need it. I built it because it was fun to create. So basically we have a sweet berry farm. And I have a variety of foxes in here harvesting the sweet berries for me. The armor stand in the middle keeps the foxes from napping. And I've decorated this one as if it was a spruce forest. Next farm we have here is the turtle egg farm or turtle scoot farm. It can work as either. But basically, I got some grass over here. So I got 6 breeding pairs of turtles. So I can just come in here, get some eggs. And if either I can just take the eggs and use them for whatever I need, or if I need to scoot, I have this contraption in the background here. Oh. So I can come up here, and in one of these, I can just plant the eggs here. All right, let's move on to the next farm. All right, next we have these stairs here. And this is my surplus storage. So anything that doesn't fit into my keep up top comes down here. So basically just shulker boxes of stone or deep slate, cobbled nether blocks, iron blocks. And over here we have just items that have a surplus of. I have stopped producing shulker shells now because I have way too many. All right, let's move on. Over here is an unfinished farm. I do have it's working, but it's not in the final form I want it. So it's a wheat farm. We will see the wheat farm later. It's actually closer to my nether portal, but the storage system is here. However, I'm not really happy how this is set up. So again, this is a future project to change it. And we do have this opening into the main, or to the outside world here. You can see my keep up top with my pet ender dragon. And then there's my graveyard and villager trading hall over there. This is the switch to my mob switch. So basically, by default, there are no mobs will spawn. The mob switch is on. But if I flip this switch, basically we will have mob spawning again in the overworld. So we'll do cheaty cam. I will show you the mob switch. So basically I power my mob switch with zombie villagers. And basically if I turn on chunk borders here, you can see there's a chunk border. It runs in the middle through this. And on this side is the spawn chunks. This side is not. So when I flip that switch up top, this redstone line will turn off. This one will turn on. These trapdoors will flip down. The water will flow. These trapdoors will flip up and the water will stop flowing. So basically all villagers will move to this side, and then we will have spawning again in the overworld. All right, next farm. This is my bamboo and sugarcane farm. It is a Tango Tech design. Basically I have 12 modules here. And then down below here we have the collection system. And this side is the bamboo I believe, and sugarcane over here. I have recently added a crafter to this, so we are creating the bamboo blocks rather than just the bamboo itself. So, all right, then we have this farm. We'll go down to the end first and come back. At the very end, I have my rabbit farm. So the way this works is, well, first off, we have this hole down here where I have carrots growing to feed the rabbits. I think I have a stockpile of carrots here, though. Yeah. All right, and basically to run this farm, you just come up here, hit this button, and the rabbits start floating. And then you can feed them. That's enough for now. And the small rabbits will fall through this fence here, and they are there. And there's a gap here where you can harvest them. And over here we have the kelp farm. So we have a gigantic kelp farm here. And basically as these kelp grow up, the observers detect them, pistons fire, and then the kelp floats up, and then over here, it gets fed up here and across here and down into these smelters. Once the kelp is dried, it comes over here, we craft it into blocks, it fires over here and into this shulker box loader. This minecart here brings the blocks back and fills up the furnaces with the dried kelp blocks to smelt further kelp. And I think this one more farm, this is the final, or at least collection system for this level of the tunnels. This is my egg collection. And I am now starting to collect the new eggs. I'd actually like to expand this so it actually separates the eggs, but basically what's happening here is up top on the surface, I have a chicken in a crate. And now I have added the new chickens over here in a crate. And as they poop out the eggs just drop down into these chests here. So. All right, I think that was it for the auto farms. I think this is the biggest level, so every other tunnel will go a little bit quicker. Our second tunnel is the end farms, and there are two farms here. I have a purple block farm as well as a shulker farm. Again, all the tunnels are decorated. Again, this one is, again, a mine shaft theme. As we go all the way down. All right, there are two halves to this farm. First half here is the shulker farm, and then over here we have the purple farm. So let's start with the purple farm. And I think I'm going to show you this one because it's actually quite fun to run. So basically what's going to happen here is in the dark squares on the ceiling, there are dispensers that shoot arrows down and will harvest the, what are those blocks called now? What are they called? Coarse flour. They will harvest the coarse flour. And then we have water that will sweep everything down here, and collection is just right here. So let's give this a try. So let's fire some arrows. I usually fire this twice. And then let's flush with the water. And everything gets broken, and I just stand here and collect everything. Oh, I didn't run the water long enough. All right. Oh, I did not run the water long enough. I do usually run around here and collect my arrows so I can reuse them. I'm not sure why. I have a huge surplus of arrows, but I don't like it when items despawn. All right, items collected, so you can get a better look at the ceiling. So there's a lot of dispensers up there. And again, right here is the water's behind those trapdoors, so when I flip that switch, it just flushes everything down there. Again, I've direct decorated my room on theme with purple blocks. I am quite proud of the border up there. It reminds me of those wallpaper borders that everyone used to use like back in the 90s. But yeah, so basically I've trapped the coarse flowers in between two blocks so they never grow. Anyway, so let's just fill up the purple so it's ready for harvest next time. All right, I think it takes like 48 blocks or so, coarse flowers, to fill up the farm. So any extras I get are basically surplus, and we can see it's already starting to grow. On the other side here, we have the shulker box farm. And this is another Ian X04 design. So basically you have five massive portals. And basically you have this column here in the middle. I'm going to use Cheaty Cam here to get a better look. So yeah, we have a shulker here. And we have some snowmen under here. So when the farm's on, it's not on right now, basically the snowman will fire snowballs up into the shulker. He will be forced to duplicate. And there are glass panes in between. It's hard to see with my shaders, but there's glass in between the portals. And the glass is the only where the shulker can transport to. Once they open up, they'll basically be transported to the nether. So I will while there's not a piglin here, I'll quickly show you this. This is the piglin destroyer here, or zombified piglin destroyer. So basically they're attracted to that egg, but they can't get to the egg, and basically they die on that wither rose. So I can collect an inefficient gold farm right there. So one, I have my end rod chandelier, which I'm quite proud of, but I never get to see. This portal here basically will restock. So I have extra shulkers in the nether if required, and I can bring them through this portal and basically load them to the center column there if required. So I'm going to skip over to the nether right now and show you what the other side of this farm looks like. Alright, we are in the nether now, and this is the nether side to the shulker farm. So again, this is an Ian X04 design. So what happens with the shulkers when they're transported over here is they will end up in this portal, usually on these trap doors here. And there's only so many places that they can teleport to. First, there's 4 spots over here, and these are the spare shulkers. If required, I can load one of these into a minecart and using a fishing rod transport them back. But when those 4 spots are full, the remaining shulkers will transport over here, and then they will immediately get stuck in these boats, and then I have they'll suffocate in these soul sand blocks here. I am quite proud of this the floor here. That is a vanilla texture. It is the bottom of the shulker boxes. Texture you don't often see. Alright, tunnel number 3 goes to the trading hall. This is a tunnel that I actually regret building because I never use it. I usually end up just flying down to the trading hall using my elytra. But I have decorated this, and so I will show it to you. Down and around the mine shaft, and then here we go through a dripstone cave. And then into a lush cave. Down this mine shaft. Brief look at daylight. Down around here. And up. So my villager trading hall is roughly over there. We're kind of behind it. So there's a few things to show you here in this tunnel. First off, I have my villager breeder. So here's where all my villagers in the trading hall came from. I have up here 4 stuck in here. This is a villager breeder. So basically when this pumpkin block is removed, and I place some beds out here, they will start breeding. The babies will come down here, and there's a hole under that pumpkin brick there, and then they will fall into this chamber. So these are babies that have grown up. And I won't even begin to explain this maze of tunnel or tracks here, but basically I'll feed the villagers out here. They'll sit there. I will place one of the villager professional blocks here, get the trades that I want. Once I do that, then I will push him over here, and he will meet our zombie villager here. Then I'll bring back the zombified villager. And I basically have arrows of weakness up here. So pressing this button will shoot the villager, and then I'll feed them a golden apple. So this room is actually one of the first things I built in my world. And I used the reject villagers to build my mob switch. So what I used to do, if I didn't want a villager, we'd flip some switches here, and I would send the villager over here. And they used to drop down the shaft, and I'd have a water stream down here, and they would be directed into this chamber here. And this was my mob switch for a long time until Mojang changed the spawn chunk rules, and then I had to move it to where I showed you earlier. But now if I do need new villagers, I again just bring them over here and suffocate them with an emerald block. Again, I'm a horrible person, I know. It's just the rules of Minecraft. I don't know what else to do. Alright, next, if I do want to keep the villager, I will flip some switches and send them down this way and down this track. And they will go up this stream. And then, if I had to replace one of my villagers in my trading hall, I basically lay out some tracks and feed them into one of my huts here. And last video, I basically said there was something secret with my well here, and it's just the way back down into my breeding facility here. And we pop back right up here. Tunnel number 4 goes to my nether portal and the wheat farm. Again, another tunnel that I kind of regret building because I rarely use it. If required, I just go to my nether portal with using my elytra. But again, it goes through the same lush cave that we did before. So before we came across this bridge, this time we go down into the drink. Okay, and luckily we made it through. Sometimes those I'll collide with the tropical fish and it sends me back, but... And here we are. We are at the nether portal. This is the one nether entrance to my nether hub where I actually have a basement to the hub. So again, I showed you this last video, but these are my entrances to my nether hub. And this one has the basement. There's one more area to show you here, and I have my wheat farm located right here. It's located here because I was having trouble with it being too close to my iron farm. So I moved it down here. But as I mentioned before, I'm not happy with my current wheat farm setup, so I will be, that is a future project to improve this. So, alright, tunnel number 5 of 11 goes to the copper farm. And we basically fall to near the bottom of the world. So I have a lot to say about this big room. I actually have some plans to decorate it and make it into a huge copper mine. Alright, so the copper farm. This is another Ian X04 design. However, I have added a item sorter and decorated this with copper. Again, on theme, decorating with the blocks I'm producing. So this does use the zombie reinforcement mechanic. So basically you feed some zombies into this chamber here, and there's actually, you can't see it with the shaders, but there's like water there. And they will drown, and basically you can swipe your sword at them from below. And basically the act of inflicting damages on a zombie will call in more zombies. And the number of zombies in the whole farm just increases and increases. And I've had over 1,000 zombies in this thing at once. It's a bit insane how effective it is. There are no zombies now. I will show you how we get zombies in. So we have this ladder over here. So I took great care where to build this in my world. Normally, a lot of people build it in the end. I chose just a space near the bottom of my world with a zombie spawner nearby and not a lot of tunnels. The few tunnels that kind of wove through here, I filled in. There wasn't many. And yeah, so basically, when I want to start this farm, I will come up here. There's a switch to flip the lights off, and then this will start spawning a few zombies. Once I have the zombies, I can just go into the next to the kill chamber and just start swiping at them. You get lots of copper and lots of armor and lots of other things. So tunnel number 6 goes to my manual farms. These are farms where I have to be present in order for the farm to work. And these farms are located at the bottom of the world. And the most efficient way to get down there is to simply drop. And when my base is built at 130 blocks on the y-axis, all the way down is quite a bit. Alright, the first farm here. So we just have some generic farms, bone meal farms for grass, the seagrass, the hanging roots, the nether vines, glowberries. This is the drip leaf, and as well as the propagules. Next farm is basically a blast chamber. This farm is a cubic meter design. I tried to use the Omango design. I could never make it work. It always blew up on me. But this thing has been more reliable. So let's go up top. You'll get a better idea how it works. So basically, I can feed blocks in or place blocks into here, and everything gets shifted down. The farm arranges them in this pattern here. And after a certain point, the blocks keep getting pushed down. It will release a TNT block that comes down here, and it's timed perfectly. So just as the blocks are shifting down again, the TNT explodes. And because the blocks are in the process of being moved, they have 0 blast resistance. So you can get hundreds of blocks with one TNT block. So it's very efficient on TNT usage. I don't use any TNT duping in this world. So any TNT I do craft, I want to use it efficiently, and this farm does that. Next farm. This is a mud farm, and I believe this is an Omango design. Basically, you can take dirt, place it here, and basically it'll transform it into mud. Next, we have the clay farm. And I think the mechanics are similar for the mud farm here. So basically, you can place dirt here, it'll transform it to mud, but then it'll also push it down here, and then push it here, push it over here. And as soon as you get a whole block or a row of blocks here, it'll push everything down. Once you fill up this space here, it'll push it. Can I get a good view of this here? Yeah, once these blocks get pushed here, these will push it up, and these will push it forward. And so you have these series of slabs being pushed up, up, and up. Now, under these slabs of mud, you have dripstone. And having the dripstone under it transforms mud into clay. And you have this all along this path here. So there is enough space in this farm to place a whole shulker box of dirt, which transforms into mud, which transforms into clay blocks. And when you're done, you can come down here and harvest it. So as you're feeding new mud into the system, the clay blocks that are sitting there get fed over here, and then they get pushed down, and they get pushed down. And so basically you end up with a giant cube of 12 by 12 by 12 of clay blocks. And you can come in here, this will be full when you first get here, but you can sneak up here with the ladder and basically start from the top and harvest all the clay. And you get a full shulker box. Typically with the clay, I will then take it to my super smelter and turn it into terracotta. Next farm is the nylium farm. So you can come over here, and currently it's set to the crimson nylium, but you can also set it to the warped nylium. So you can take some netherrack, and if you place it there, it gets pushed over and bone mealed instantly there. And you just keep pressing it, and basically then you come in and harvest it. Next farm over is kind of the other nether plants and saplings. So I believe, it's been a while since I used it. I think you flip this switch. And yeah, it's just a shifting floor farm. And the water will push it all into the chambers over here. So yeah, you get the fungus and the wart roots, the crimson roots, crimson fungus. Yeah. Next farm is the lichen farm, and I believe this is also an Ilmango design. Basically, you fill this up with bone meal, and basically you get yourself into this chamber here with a pair of shears. And with the farm on, basically it will grow an insane amount of the lichen. I won't demonstrate it because it's also very loud. And the final farm I have on this level is the wood farm. And calling it a farm is a bit of a stretch because it is mostly manually chopping trees. But I do have the collection of the items automated. So we have a giant storage system here, which packs everything into shulker boxes. We have all the wood types, all the leaves. So basically you can use this space to harvest any of the trees, any of the fungus or mushroom blocks or mangrove propagules. So the space to actually do the chopping is up here. So we have a space in the middle. Where I can come up here, I can plant my sapling, bone meal it, and it will grow. We can swap out the podzol for warped nylium if we're growing the funguses. If we're growing oak or birch, we can plant down a few flowers here and get a chance at also getting a beehive. For the super tall trees, we also have platforms. So I can grow a big tree, I can come up here, and basically I can jump on top of the tree and then chop my way down. This is the low platform. There's also a higher platform up there for the spruce or the jungle trees as well. And I flexed in building my space at a bone block. So not only are we using bone meal to grow the trees, but it's also the decoration for this space. A couple other features of the space. Most of the stuff that drops off the trees will fall into these water streams and be fed into the storage system. Anything I pick up, I can occasionally come over here and drop in this chest, and it will also be fed into the storage system. And basically anything harvested from the tree farm above, once there's a full shulker box, it will come into this barrel here, and that will light up indicating that we have a full shulker box. So I think that is the wood area. Number 7 is the smelting chamber. This was actually one of the first tunnels that I created using a dripstone theme. So the first thing you'll notice is the lava farm here, and that actually powers the super smelter. But first, before we get to the super smelter, I do have a few furnaces just in this alcove for small batches of smelting. And then we get to the super smelters. And I have 5 arrays of 16 furnaces. These 4 here are just regular furnaces, and the 5th is a blast furnace. They work by loading your items into this minecart chest up here and flipping this switch, which will disperse it into 16 different furnaces. And here you have your lava loaded. So basically, once a few items are in there, I would hit this button, and that would send a lava bucket to each of the 16 furnaces. This is the output chest. The first thing that would show up here is your 16 empty buckets. And basically at that point, you could come over here and refill them and load them up for the next time. And then your cauldrons are also filling up for the next time as well. I have enough lava cauldrons here to keep 4 of the smelters going full time. Over here I have a small dripstone farm. It's not automated, it's very manual. You can just come in here and break it. And then also there's this upper shelf here where you can break off the top layer. Number 8 is the amethyst farms. I have 7 amethyst geodes that are fairly close proximity. And I have a mine cart that runs between all 7 to collect and farm amethyst. And here we are at 1 of 7 geodes. I won't show you each of the geodes, it'll be a bit much, but I'll show you the first one. So I've created, I built this. This is just kind of a block geode. But you drop in here and there you have the real geode. So I've suspended everything in water. So I'm basically floating, and it's in range of a conduit. And you can just float around and harvest your amethyst. And the outside is all block concrete, so it can be a little bit disorienting. But yeah, and it gets quite magical when you get the glow squid in here with you swimming around. That's one of the smaller geodes, though. Let's move on to number 2. Here we are at number 2. So the geode's over there. Again, I'm not going to drop into each one. I think that's a bit much. Number 7 is the biggest, and we'll visit number 7. Go into that geode. Number 3, very close to number 2. Off to number 4. Here we are. Again, these geodes are remarkably close. Let's head to number 5. So I have a special pick for all of this. It does not have efficiency. I find putting efficiency on your pick and then harvesting amethyst, so you have a real risk of breaking the amethyst block. Yeah, so there's number 5. I believe the stretch between 5 and 6 is the longest stretch between any 2 geodes. But even then, it's not that long. All these 7 geodes are in range of 1 conduit. So, and then there's 6 up there, and we'll go to 7, and we'll go inside number 7 because it's the biggest and most impressive of the geodes. All right, here we go. This is a massive geode. Yeah, so. Oh, I remember that being faster. Something changed. Oh, I have to sit. I'm floating. So I find the slower mining is just better. You don't want to break these amethyst buds by mistake. And anytime I had efficiency on my pick, I accidentally broke them, and I did not like that. Of course, you could also use a fortune pick on here and basically get the actual amethyst crystals, but anyway, that is the amethyst farm, and this just loops back and Alright, tunnel number 9. I don't even know how to explain this one, but there's 3 things at the end of this tunnel. We have a warden switch, a frog farm, and an ancient city portal. So, and again, I've decorated all these tunnels. I spent time, and so we have a bridge over lava. This is the second iteration of the bridge. The first one burned down because of the lava. Mistakes were made. And we're approaching our destination. Let's start with the frog farm. It's probably the easiest to explain. Here I have a small little chamber decorated as a lush cave. And this chamber is special in that 3 biomes intersect here. 3 very special biomes. You'll also notice I have 3 frogs here, 1 of each type. So up here in the white pool, you have, this is in a savanna plateau biome, which is a hot biome. Over here in the orange pool, you have a stony peaks biome, which in at least Java, I believe that is the temperate biome. I believe that may be different in bedrock. And over here, this is a deep dark biome, and which is a cold biome in Java. And again, I think that might be different in bedrock. But so in this chamber, we can feed these frogs slime balls, and they will put some tadpoles in the water. And we can move those tadpoles to any pool we want and get whatever color of frog we want. And then over here, I have a nether portal. It's not active right now, but I can light it up. It takes me to the nether roof, which I haven't really explained my nether roof yet. That'll be probably next episode. But I can easily transport these frogs anywhere in my world. Alright, now down this path, which I don't think I'm going to go down. I'll use Cheaty Cam to show you what's at the end of this path, though. It'll be easier to see. This is a warden switch, and I believe it was an Il Mango design. So in this chamber here, at the end of this here, you have a shrieker. This is a naturally spawned shrieker. And I've removed all the blocks around it so that a warden is not able to spawn off of that. And there's carpets on top of these wool blocks here. Over here, in this chamber here, you're not going to be able to see it because they're not rendering in, but there's arrows on this block here. Every few seconds, the arrows are flung up and they flung back down. It sets off this sensor, which sets off the shrieker. And the reason I'm showing you this in Cheaty Cam rather than just walking down here is that the warden will try to spawn here and it will create the darkness effect. And even, yeah, you just can't see anything. So, and this is just a chunk loader that goes to my nether to keep this chunk loaded. So basically, I can explore any ancient city and typically not have a warden spawn. I say typically because I find this warden switch is only about, I don't know, 98% effective. Every so often one will spawn on you, and it's almost a better game experience because you don't know when it's going to happen, and when it does happen, yeah, you jump. Down the other side, this isn't a farm, but it is an area of the world that I decorated. So I originally spawned this world, or created this world in 1.18, and in 1.19, that's when we got the ancient cities. And I trimmed my world quite heavily before I upgraded, and what ended up happening is I cut off an ancient city, so I got half an ancient city, but I got the most important part that did spawn in was I got a complete end portal, or not end portal, I guess it's a portal, we don't know where it goes. I took this opportunity to just decorate it. So I have this portal, we have some soul sand down there with the soul flames, candles and flames decorating it. And I'll just turn on chunk borders here for a second, and you can see. So you see the border here. This chunk here was not trimmed. This chunk was. So when I loaded this chunk in 1.19, I got this portal, and I barely got it. So I basically, everything was kind of cut off. So none of the generic Minecraft decorations around the portal looked good. It was cut off, and this was solid stone on this side, whereas this. So I kind of excavated around it and decorated it. And out the back here, you can see remnants of the ancient city. So whenever Mojang does give us a working ancient city portal, I already have my room decorated and I'm ready to travel on day 1. Number 10 is the Creeper Lab. I have been going down these tunnels in order. However, I think we're going to save number 10 for last. So we'll do number 11 first, which is the Animal Barn. The Animal Barn is where I can breed animals and kind of transport them anywhere into my world. So I can have any mob anywhere. You will see I abandoned the mine shaft aesthetic in designing this tunnel. This is actually one of the last tunnels I designed, and I was bored of just another mine shaft, so we have the brick instead. Alright, so this is the Animal Barn. It does not look like a barn. My idea for this area was more like Dwarven Fortress, or Khazad-dûm, although not quite the scale of Khazad-dûm, but that was the idea. And basically here we have animals, just pens of animals, every breedable animal in the game. And I even have just recently added the new 1.21.5 animals, so the warm and cold cows and pigs and chickens. That's the farm animal corridor. This is kind of the miscellaneous hallway. So we have striders, camels, the goats, both the regular goats and screaming goats. We got bees, we have allays, and on this side we have rabbits. In this tunnel here we have the pandas. Every variety of panda, all 7, including the brown panda. So I should point out that this is, I've talked about my mob museum, or mentioned my mob museum several times. This is not my mob museum. This barn only holds breedable animals. So I have some wolves, and I have each variety of wolf. So I guess I'm going to explain the nether roof now. So this links directly to the nether roof. I have restricted myself in using the nether roof, except in one specific occasion, or purpose. In previous worlds, I built a lot on the nether roof, a lot of my nether farms and whatnot, even my nether hub, and I found it too cheaty in the end, and I wanted to give myself a challenge. So most things, farms, nether hub, are all built in the nether proper. However, I have given myself permission to use the nether roof for mob transportation. So basically right here is 0, 0, and I have tracks going in each direction, and just to facilitate mob transportation. I have villagers up here because I was originally going to add them to my animal barn, but I decided that would just be too inefficient. Just with the breeding mechanics of villagers, I would end up with a lot of savanna villagers versus the other types, so that's still a project I'm working on, different villager breeders for different areas. I also have a collection of skeleton horses. I believe there's about 30 in here. Alright, on the other side here, on the animal barn, we have the llamas. And then we have every variety of cat. And at the very end, we have the foxes. And this corridor and the next one are dedicated to horses. So with horses, there are 7 color varieties, as well as 5 patterns, which give you 35 different types of horses. And I have every single type here, along with the donkeys. So I can breed myself any type of horse I want. And again, yes, just horses. Alright, last tunnel, the Creeper Lab. You may be asking yourself what a creeper lab is, and that would be a very good question. There's a lot of special functionality you can do with a creeper, and this lab is designed to take advantage of all of it. Alright, and we have arrived. The lab. And decorated in white concrete. I thought it made it look like a lab. So we got a number of things going on here. So you can see some skeletons, iron golem, other mobs, and a lot of creepers. First off, this is my record farm. So you can see back here we have a collection of records. And this here is Mr. Bojangles. And over here, I actually don't remember what I named him. But if you uncover Mr. Bojangles, he will start taking aim at the iron golem. And he will start hitting the creepers. And when you have a skeleton kill a creeper, you get a record. So the creepers, the source of the creepers is this hole here. So I don't know how well we'll see it, but up here I just have a creeper farm. Very basic, basically trapdoors on the roof and the carpets there preventing spider spawning. And they're just falling in here, down here. So you don't need a lot of creepers, but you just need a few. All right, Mr. Bojangles has done his job. The farm isn't perfect. He will occasionally hit the iron golem. So, but yeah, so 3 records. The other fun thing you can do with creepers is blow up other mobs to get their heads. So I have caught and name tagged a few other mobs over here. So the other mobs come down from this hole here, and very similar to the creeper farm here, I have another mob farm here that will spawn anything but the spiders. So I have a setup here for collecting the heads. So first off, we hit this button here. Minecart will grab a mob and take it to the blast chamber. And then we need a charged creeper. Same thing. Alright, and then we head down into the tunnel. And I have a stair block here where we can light the creeper. And we should have 2 minecarts and a head. Excellent. So I didn't explain this earlier, but the creepers that fall down here, they're currently being directed to this farm here. However, I can switch that up, and they'll be directed around here. There is a hole here where I can name tag them as they pass by. So all of these are name tagged. And during a thunderstorm, I will deploy that lightning rod, and that is open to sky above, and we will charge the creepers. All right, let's do another test subject. Alright, let's get a skeleton head. So, just to give you a closer look of the blast chamber, basically minecarts will come up here, they will fall down there, and basically the water down there prevents any of the hoppers or tracks from being blown up, and the obsidian just protects the rest of the place here. So I can also switch this block here and send charged creepers down this pathway. It's a very long pathway that ends up in the nether, and basically I can get the piglin heads using charged creepers. However, with the new functionality of mobs and minecarts being able to go through nether portals, I need to redesign that. It is not very efficient, so that's a future project as well. Oh, I can get a creeper head. Let's get a creeper head. Blowing up creepers with creepers. Nice. That's it for the farms and points of interest under my base, so I think that's where we're going to end part 2 of the world tour. Part 3, we'll start traveling the Nether Hub to the various outposts I have in my overworld. If you're still watching, you must have found this at least mildly amusing. Please consider a like. And if you'd like to see part 3, please consider subscribing. Until next time, we'll see ya.